Welcome to the Nikon camera introduction video. Today we will be going over the basic functions that will help you understand the basic components of your camera. The first program we will be using is the auto mode. We must first turn the camera in the on position, located at the top of the screen. Next, the mode dial will need to be shifted to the A position, representing auto mode. As you noticed, the camera is now presenting the word auto at the top of the camera screen, signifying that it is in the correct mode. Take note, the number displayed on the left of the screen is the shutter speed, and the number displayed on the right is the f-stop. Notice that as the camera moves back and forth, both of these numbers are automatically adjusted, hence why this is called the auto mode. We will now identify a few shortcut components that will be key to maximizing the efficiency of the camera. The top left is the delete button. Underneath is the playback button. Next is the menu button. The button located at the bottom is the information edit button, also known as the info button. The top right is the command dial. The second program being used is the manual mode. The mode dial will need to be shifted to the M position, representing manual mode. In this mode, we will need to be able to locate the exposure compensation button, which is also known as the aperture button. As you notice, the camera is now presenting the word manual at the top of the camera screen, signifying that it is in the correct mode. Notice the shutter speed and f-stop buttons are located in the same positions. The select keys will help you adjust the location of the focus point within the camera. Now watch as the command dial is rotated. The shutter speed is adjusted. Now notice as the aperture button is held while the command dial is simultaneously rotated, the f-stop is adjusted. Now let's take a moment to notice the movement on the bar diagram as the dial is adjusted. This is called the light meter, and we will talk about this later on in the introduction video. Just notice the movement as the dial is adjusted. There are three important displays on the camera screen that should be noted for later discussion: ISO, white balance, and image quality. Note, in manual mode, the shutter speed and f-stop are both independent variables that can both be individually changed, whereas in the auto mode, both were dependent and automatically adjusted as the camera moved. The third program we will be using is the shutter priority mode. The mode dial will need to be shifted to the S position, representing shutter priority mode. As you notice, the camera is now presenting the word shutter priority auto at the top of the camera screen, signifying that it is in the correct mode. This mode allows for the shutter speed, the number displayed on the left of the screen, to be determined, and the f-stop located to the right will automatically be adjusted. Notice the command dial is changing the shutter speed, and the f-stop on the right is automatically adjusting as the camera moves slightly. As the camera moves, the shutter speed is the independent variable and the f-stop is the dependent variable. This program mode is excellent for action shots. Here, this displayed image of a waterfall shows a long shutter speed of 5 seconds, meaning the camera has 5 seconds to capture movement, hence why the water looks blurry, as if it were one solid, smooth motion. This image was shot at 1/2000th of a second and captured the freeze frame of the water in the air. Notice that at this very quick shutter speed, the water is not blurry, but very crisp. Another program we will be using is the aperture priority mode. The mode dial will need to be shifted to the A position, representing aperture priority mode. As you notice, the camera is now presenting the word Aperture Priority Auto at the top of the camera screen, signifying that it is in the correct mode. This time, the f-stop will be controlled by the command dial, and the shutter speed will automatically adjust to the surround settings. As the camera moves, the f-stop is the independent variable, and the shutter speed will be the dependent variable. A key component to having success with capturing images is understanding the difference between aperture and the f-stop. They are not the same. As the f-stop number gets smaller, the aperture opening gets wider. so more light is captured. In this example, the image on the left was shot at an f-stop of 2.8, and the image on the right was shot with a smaller aperture and a larger f-stop of 8. Notice the depth of field that can be captured. Depth of field is determined by how much is in focus. The left image has a short depth of field and smoothens the background so it is not distracting. The image on the right has a larger depth of field, capturing more detail in the background. We will now go over basic light metering concepts. The camera is set to manual mode, and as the command dial is changed, the shutter speed is changing. Notice the light bar as it moves up and down. Watch as it begins to move toward the positive end, represented by a plus sign. And now it can also be changed to move toward the negative end, represented by a minus sign. The light bar can also change when the aperture button is held down and the command dial is rotated. Notice this causes the f-stop to change. Note, as the light bar moves toward the positive end, it causes the camera to overexpose the image, allowing more light to be captured, and as the light bar moves toward the negative end, it causes the camera to underexpose the image, allowing less light to be captured. When the light meter reads 0, the image is properly exposed. This reading is the exposure compensation. This can manually over or underexpose an image by using the info button. This is mainly for priority modes, such as shutter speed or aperture. We will mainly have the exposure compensation set to 0 in this class. This display shows the light metering located inside the red circle. The rectangles located in the middle of the screen show where to adjust the light needed for compensating. In these images, notice how dark the left image is in comparison to the brightness of the right image. The dark image has been underexposed, the light image has been overexposed, and the middle image has been properly exposed at 0. Next, we will discuss the main aspects of the camera's zoom. As you can see, the larger proportion of the lens is slightly rotated and the zoom is directly engaged. These images display different focal lengths. The top left displays a focal length of 70 mm and the bottom right displays a focal length of 400 mm. Notice how much closer the cranes appear as the focal length increases. Now the main aspects of the camera focus will be discussed. The small proportion of the lens selected is slightly rotated and the focus is directly engaged. This slider is the vibration reduction and it will mostly be kept off. This slider is the auto and manual focus, which will be set for the manual mode so that you can focus your image as you desire. In this image, notice that the ladies located farther away from the camera position are in focus and the ladies closer to the camera are blurred. The manual focus mode allows for the ability to select different focus points on subjects to add depth and style. This brings the basic introduction video to an end. My name is Hannah Cavanis and I would like to thank you for watching. Please stay tuned for more videos.